this planet who are waking up and looking around them at this beautiful earth that we've been given and being moved to do something about some of the destruction that humanity has caused. And yesterday, Tom and I were invited to the launching of a new nonprofit, and the whole purpose of it was to bring awareness and to save the oceans. And so we were asked to give the opening prayer and do a little ceremony to get that jump started. And I quoted Jacques Cousteau in that yesterday. You know, Jacques Cousteau said, for centuries, humanity has battled the ocean, has fought it for its very survival, for humanity's survival. And he said, but now, in this time, we have to protect her for our own survival. So we're beginning to broaden our perspective and turn around some of the harm that we've done, and we can turn it around. But you know, as we were walking around San Elijo Lagoon here in Encinitas, it's just so beautiful. We saw it Tom and I got to walk in some paths that we hadn't seen before. Just took our breath away. And as we were walking, someone asked, why did you found the Soul of Yoga? What is its purpose? And as I was looking at the beauty and being inspired by the people that were there and their intention, I just kind of sort of felt an energy around the Soul of Yoga being very happy and proud of who we are together, because I was able to say we are a community of many faiths and no faiths, of many beliefs and no beliefs. We're a community that comes together, that sees each other as souls and supports each other on whatever journey we decide to take, whatever path we decide to take, to finally come to the realization that these bodies are temporary and we are the soul as our permanent essential selves.
Amen.
Yeah. And he said, really? And I started with yoga. And these people so full of heart's love standing for protecting of the ocean. I was filled with heart's love standing for protecting what we're doing together is self-realization, God-realization. And that chant, it's an ancient, as Tom mentioned, it's an ancient chant. No birth, no death, no caste have I. You know, at least for a few minutes on meditation, if we can stay, that's what meditation is about, for taking a few minutes every day and affirming who we are, rather than to overcome. We spend the rest of the time trying to overcome what we're not, right? Or the personalities and our emotions and our situations. No birth, no death. Father, mother, have I none. Now here we are sitting, we're in the beginning of June, for those of you who are watching it in timeless time and spaceless space. We are sitting in between Mother and Father's Day. And isn't that interesting to affirm? No mother, father, mother have I none. But if you think about it, how many mothers and fathers have we had? Right? In incarnations and incarnations. Sri Tesswar in the Holy Science says that pride of pedigree is one of the 8 meannesses of the heart. And I remember when I was young, in my early 20s, or actually mid-20s and late 20s, having my children. And, you know, once you have children, your whole life changes because their health and their happiness and their potential and everything becomes the center of your life. And so I was probably over-concerned about something that was happening with my children. And I was talking to my spiritual papa, who is an elderly man who was a monastic, still in the body, and he spent years with Yogananda, so he's directly trained by Yogananda. And he is a gyan, which I love about him. He's wisdom. He's got a big heart, but he's got a lot of wisdom. And I'm worrying about my children. And he said to me, "Where are your other children?" And I said, what other children? I only have 2. He said, all the other children that you've had in all your lifetimes, where are those? Where are they? And I went, oops. He said, you had to give them back to Divine Mother, didn't you? They're off in their own journey, aren't they? I said, yeah. He said, give these now. And I realized from talking to him that I'm really only the foster mother, right? Because they come in, they're with us a certain amount of time, maybe one lifetime. Where are, some of us have already lost our parents to the trip beyond the veil. The Father, Mother, Navi, none, because if we get attached, we're to love and we're to serve, but attachment causes pain. Perspective is freedom. Freedom. And so we look to the great ones for the example. Now, we do have the advanced teacher training with us here, and all the teachers are spending 10 days going deeper into their practice, learning different modalities. And one of the classes that we had together was myth and storytelling and the power of it and the learning through the lineages that comes from storytelling. So I'm going to tell a story to bring home another point. So it was ancient India. And there was a warrior who was very, very, very successful. And because of his success, he had much land and many kingdoms. So there he was now reigning over this kingdom, and there was peace. He had fought for peace, and he had created peace. And after a while, he started getting a little restless, and his mind started bringing back in his body, emotions. When we tie an emotion to a situation, it goes deep in our being, and so it creates a lot of memory. When I have emotion with a situation, we have visceral memory. So his body was starting to remind him of those exciting times right before getting ready for battle. It was right on the edge, really alive. And he kind of missed that feeling. But then on the other hand, then all of a sudden, his higher self started showing him in his inner mind the carnage that happened because of the war. And the women and the children and the moans of the people suffering and dying on the battlefield. And then he went, no, I don't want to do that again. So finally this caused such a conflict in his mind. In his court he turned, he said, bring me the head priest, the head priest. And the head priest was brought in. And he said, you have 7 days to show me what God is, or I'm going to lop off your head. Now, he was desperate, and he had a little power, not a lot of discrimination. But he said, I want an experience of God, or your life is over in 7 days. Well, the poor little priest said, sir, I just do the rituals. I don't know the being that the rituals are trying to get to. I don't know the being that the scripture's talking about. I can't give you that God realization. And the king said 7 days. So he went home, and of course he was in terror, knowing every day that went by, the clock was ticking, and he knew his life was just about to be over. And his son comes home. Now, his son was known, Ramana was his son, and his son was known for kind of being the weird one. Anybody identify with that? Right? He comes home, but he was deeply spiritual one who went a different path than his parents. And he heard about his father's plight. And he said, Dad, I can help you. I said, he said, get the king and yourself and meet me at the edge of the forest. And so the father went and got the king. The king's name was Bharat. And together, just the 3 of them were on the edge of the forest. And so Ramana, the son, took them in the center where there were 2 trees, just a little clearing and 2 trees. Had a little pouch. The king noticed the pouch, and the king said, now what? And the Bharat said, Ramana said, put your back to the king, put your back against the tree. So he did. And out of his pouch, he took a rope, and he tied the king to the tree. Of course, the king was pretty ticked off and said, "You had better have a good reason for this." And the son said, "Look, we're here to show you God. Trust us." And then he said to his father, "Put your back against the other tree." His father's scared to death, right? Put his back against the tree, and of course he's thinking, what is my child up to? Tied his father to the tree. Now they're looking at each other, and all of a sudden the king's getting really ticked off. His face is getting red. He's pulling away, and he said, "What are you doing?" And the son said, "All right, just a minute, I'll show you." And he said to his father, "Tell the king that you are going, you can't show him, you can't untie him because you yourself are tied." And the guy's going, "What?" And he said, "Do it." And he said, "I can't untie you because I'm tied." And now then the son said to the king, "Tell my father that you don't expect him to untie you because he's also tied." And the king, "I don't expect you to untie me because I'm tied. You're tied." And then he looked at the kid and he said, "When I get out of here, your head's being lopped off too." He was furious. And the son said, "Look at what I'm trying to teach you. My father can't untie you because he himself is tied. He cannot give you God if he himself does not have God. If he doesn't have God realization, he can't show you God realization. You have to earn it yourself." And the king relaxed, and the son, Ramana, took the ropes off of both of them. And the king went to Ramana and said, "You are my guru. Take me, show me how to bring out to know my own self-realization." And so, 2 points, one is obvious. Follow the divine teachers. Only one who has God can show you God. But the other flip side of that isn't sometimes we expect a little too much from the people we live with or work with or our friends or family? Don't we expect them to give us things that they can't give us because they themselves are not completely healed and realized? And so let's look within and above to our higher self for this realization. And maybe just have a little more fun with our friends and family. Seeing the potential in that.
You can start maybe by tying them up when you get home. or hiding the controls to the TV. Oh. So, there was a great master that founded a place down the end of the street, and I know all you know what I'm going to say. Self-Realization Fellowship on 101. Right next to Swami's. Of course, they named Swami's because of the name Swami Yogananda. And, we're so blessed to be in this town because those emanations that come from a realized soul, one who has done the effort to find that beloved within, and then able to guide others to find the beloved within themselves, those radiations, those emanations just keep pouring into you and me as we sit here right now. We're so close to the hub, right? We're so very close. And, the very first step, I think, if we just had an aha like the king and the dad of Ramana did, where we're both tied up, how are we going to help each other at all? And then they just get to that point where they relax a little bit, and they realize, wow, I can only awaken myself first, or at least make the effort to awaken myself. And really the very first, I think, point that comes from the story that Trish just said is this ability to just, instead of being tense all the time, is to relax. And I don't think you and I, Yogananda used to teach in his SRF lessons 4 stages of relaxation. I went for 4 lessons on just how to relax. And when I came upon those lessons, and because I had my favorites, and then I had ones that I, wasn't ready for or I wasn't receptive to. But that one I thought, well, why do you need 4 lessons to teach people how to relax? Well, he went on to talk about physical relaxation in one, mental in another, and emotional in another, and then the final one was spiritual relaxation, where in that one you do give up pride of pedigree. You do give up your children and offer them to the divine in your meditations. You do give up your ownership of your life and that you're entitled to it. And that's the deepest one. But those other ones are very important too. Because if we're tied up in knots physically, there's no way that energy can get to your brain just for simple science, so that you can even have the wherewithal to have a realization that will untie yourself, So the physical relaxation is really important. So when you look at waking up in life, we have lots of, I know in this community, nutrition people and diet people, dietitians, and they're very expert at it. And it's amazing how integral is the way what we put into the body. It's pretty basic. And it's interesting in Yogananda's teachings when I look back, when I started them in 69, 70, that, it's a whole way of life. And he talked about everything, physical, just like the relaxation, physical relaxation, to relax the muscles, mental, to relax the mind, emotional, to let go of the stories, and then spiritually, to let go of your identification with anything of this world. He talked about every conceivable aspect, and he had tons of lessons too on diet. And each of us, you and me, it's a time thing, right? It's divine timing, more or less. For yourself, you're only going to be ready when you're ready. And that you can't have anyone tell you it's a good thing for you if you're not ready. In fact, that's not a good thing to be suggesting to others. Be very cautious when you're so fired up and you found something that works for you. Be very cautious in your excitement when you talk about it to others, because they have to find it themselves. They have to be ready for it themselves. Meanwhile, enjoy what you just discovered and let it emanate, silent emanations from you. Or any other kind of aha or spiritual awakening. The best is to live it and walk it, and use words only in necessary in sharing it with others, unless the others are just like, wow, tell me about it. Then go ahead and just speak your heart and share with them the good news that you discovered, right? But the reason I'm saying this is that there's so many levels to our being, and yet, essentially, there's just one level. We're pure spirit. And that's the most important one. That's the most important one to remember. In fact, that chant that we chanted this morning, Yogananda said, every meditation, say those words to yourself. No birth, no death, no caste, nor role or personality have I. Father, mother, have I none. Nothing. I am he, or I am free. Blessed Spirit, I am free. Mind, nor intellect, nor ego, and chitta, I use the word Sanskrit word for chitta, that's your feeling element. So mind, no. Intellect, no. Ego, not me. And these feelings, not me. Sky, am I really human? Are these elements really saying who I really am? Sky, nor earth, nor metals am I. I am he, I am free. I am he, meaning I am spirit. Blessed Spirit, I am free. Said every single meditation. We need to remind. Isn't it a game of remembrance? That's all. That's all. You don't have to change anything. In fact, I heard a story recently that someone saw a clip of Yogananda that I had never seen in my years of being in the ashram. I'd never seen this clip. And he was with the devotee, and he said to the master, he said, sir, the devotee said to the master, he said, sir, if I really get into this thing, if I really join up and take the self-realization fellowship and get this Kriya Yoga that you're talking about, do I need to give up smoking? And the master said, no. And I said, whoa, he's starting to feel better already. Sir, if I take these, if I jump in spiritually, do I need to give up drinking? And the master said, no. Now he's thinking, wow, okay. But do you see what that does? You know how resistant we are in being told what to do or what you can't do? What you can't do. And then he said, "Sir, do I need to give up sex?" And the master said, "No." And then Yogananda went on and said, "I'm not really concerned about what you do, but I'm very, very, very eternally concerned what you don't do. And I want to teach you the way to meditate." Because the man wasn't meditating. And the moral to that story, I think, is the most beautiful thing about the spiritual path, that nobody's telling you to do or not do anything. So don't get confused in your mind that some person is that way, or spirit itself, or the 10 Commandments are, or any of these spiritual disciplines, the yamas and the niyamas, are just have something out for you. I have to follow these things. No, the ego says. I don't want to be told anymore. No, the divine way on this path that found the only way that works for me is to just make a choice yourself, that through self-effort, okay, you're on tide and you're relaxing. Now it's up to you how much you're going to put into the spiritual path, because the exact ratio you're going to get out. The exact ratio. And that's life. That's not just spiritual path. That's a formula of the universe. What is coming back in your life is an exact manifestation of the way you think and the way you believe. Exactly. Exactly. It's terrifying. It's so real. And it's terrifying, too, when you have that day of reckoning after, blaming everyone else and getting really frustrated with yourself and doing stupid things in the meantime and on and on and on, that it was all you anyway. It's all you anyway. And the beautiful moral of that story is that the you is not the you that you're thinking you are. So it's totally much ado about nothing when we follow that little you, and we follow the intellect, and we follow. Nothing wrong with those instruments. They can be powerfully beautiful when they're directed, soul directed, wisdom directed, truth directed. That first and foremost, my Father and I are one, or I am spirit, blessed spirit, I am you, I am free to begin with, I am pure to begin with, I am innocent to begin with, I am love to begin with, I am wisdom to begin with, I am fun to begin with. My real first nature is amazing. That I don't have to change anything. I just need to do the steps. That's the only thing that the spiritual life is linear about, is steps. And they're not really linear steps, but how else are we going to understand it in the human condition? There are steps. So the first one is to watch these different sides of yourself, the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. And it's time to get healthy on all those levels. It really, really is. And yeah, you could work on the mental. You can work on trying to control your mind. You guys can work on, doing some therapy and moving through the heart and trying to work through some of those things, emotional traumas and depressions that you have in your heart. Yeah, you guys can work on diet. That's awesome too. But most important area to work on, of course, is this soul identity. If you had only one to choose, if I were you and I am, I would choose this idea of meditation. And a meditation in a new way, meaning that it's all heart and no head. That it is totally of your intuition and your imagination. It's a cosmic romance. For example, right now you are so loved. I am so loved. We are so loved. Your cells are made of pure spirit love. Your breath, your body, your instrument of the body, the mind, all of it is really divine in its essential nature. But the thing that lasts forever is this soul, which is sitting right in between your ears. In the cerebrum of your brain is sitting the divine indweller, the eternal spirit. I mean, how close is this? Right? Are you kidding me? Your whole spine is lit up with divine consciousness, because though the soul is here, your light center, your son and daughter realization that you're a son of God, daughter of God, is right here, the spiritual eye. The cosmic energy that all of us on the planet love the energy, and that's why energy drinks are going to the bank. They're going to the bank because everyone really does love energy and wants more energy. The only thing about the delusion is that the more you take an outer substance to give you some energy, the less you have. Right? The more you indulge in the senses, the less they satisfy you. Right? And so then you're just kind of stuck. But the real deal comes right through here at the medulla oblongata, at the base of the skull, right here. Cosmic energy, prana, pure chi, just like gigantic waterfalls coming right through here. Peace, anyone into peace? Right here at the throat chakra or the cervical center. Deep, deep peace. The peace that each of you have felt every time when that last exhale breath went out and you said goodbye to that family in that incarnation and said goodbye. Talk about renunciance. My God, you guys are good. And you're all Houdinis. How the hell how did you do that? You died last time. You went somewhere, and now here you are back. Nice disguise, by the way. Good job. You faked me out. And you're doing such a good acting job. I think you're taking your part a little too serious and a little too real that I think you got yourself faked out, too. But how did you do it, for heaven's sakes? Now you got a new set of attachments, don't you? And do you see why reincarnation just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on? But right here, you have such a deep peace, like that moment when you went across and you had to say goodbye and give back your entitlements. There was just this vacuum of insane peace. It's the first experience you have. And I don't care if you blew up in a bomb. I don't care if you died of cancer or you died just perfectly in the arms of a loving community and your family, and you had made your peace with God and you were just so ready, just like a drop at the end of a lotus leaf, to just drop into the arms of Spirit. However way you go, the experience on the other side is the same, baby. Yeah, and we could, metaphysicians, say, well, it depends on the quality of life. I'm not going there. I just want to say that when you go across, there is a silence immense silence. That's your true nature. That's the true nature of things. And I mentioned how the first thing the king did was relax, right? And realize, I got to get busy myself. So visualize yourself in the very first thing of your meditations, that you're this little dewdrop hanging at the end of a lotus leaf, not knowing when each of you are going to be taking that last exhale breath, do you? I don't see how you and I can go about this day and think that everything is kind of okay when we don't know when that last breath is going to be. It could very well be today. The yogis have learned that they're going to be ready for that last breath. But sit down. They became ready through their meditation. Sit down. No birth, no death, no caste have I. Father, mother have I not. I am spirit. I am free. Mind, nor intellect, nor ego, nor feelings, sky, nor earth, nor metals am I. This body am not. Blessed Spirit, I am thee. I am he. I am free. And then squeeze the body a few times with deep inhales and exhale. Just squeeze the body just to release it from toxins. In fact, let's all inhale and squeeze the feet, squeeze the calf. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Squeeze the pure chant. Squeeze the joy out of your being, you guys, and exhale. Try to feel it. It's not outside of yourself, for heaven's sakes. You and Spirit are one. Inhale, squeeze the love. Come on, if you really, really had faith in this, you would feel more love right now. And exhale, feel it. And relax into the ocean of love. And how about some ever new joy? Squeeze it. Or bliss. Right now, squeeze it. Believe it. And exhale, relax into it. And then you allow breath of God to come in of its own in your meditation. You just receive breath of Spirit. And as it exhales, practice it be in your last one. Ah, there it goes. There it goes. There goes the drop off the leaf of life and into the silence for starters. Then comes the Om. Then comes the loving light. Then comes deeper, deeper, deeper spiritual experiences. But first comes the silence. And just follow your breath up and down like it's spirit breath in and surrender out. You just relax out. Breathe in God, you guys. Breathe in God and surrender to God. Relax into God. or spirit or love. You just do that in your meditation. And start, notice when your muscles tighten up. Notice when your mind, of course it's going to be like this. Notice when your heart wants to pull you out of that seat and pull you out of the experience. But let's start where we need to start in that practice, okay? Because you are loving spirit. You are surrounded by loving spirit. There is no place to run to anymore. There's no place to escape to anymore. Why don't we just do as Hafiz said? And I'll close with this. He said, Lord, the closer I get to thee, the more I can see that it's just you and me all alone in this world. Then he says, I hear a knock at my door. Who else can it be? So I rush without brushing my hair. Then he goes on to say, for too many nights, Lord, I've longed for your return. And then he goes on to say, so now is the time that I am just bowing on my bended knee. This divine season has come in my life. And then finally, he says this, if your love letters are true, dear God, I will surrender. Surrender myself to who you keep saying I am. If your love letters are true, dear God, I will surrender. Surrender myself to who you keep saying, and all your saints and all the masters and my soul and your friends and this whole universe, good, bad, or ugly experiences, it's saying the same thing. Surrender to who you really are. Exhale breath, you let go, and just surrender to this ocean of spirit presence. Begin your meditation there. And I'll see you in the ocean.